I never thought I'd be genuinely terrified of senior citizens. It was my first day working at an assisted living facility, and I was already getting lectured. "You've got loose strands of hair here and here," my manager shouted, tugging at each strand, making me cry out, "ow," each time she did. "I told you, no cute little pigtails or mermaid braids. Your hair needs to be pulled back tight into a bun. And look at your uniform." She tugged at my shirt and reached over to pull the earrings straight out of ears. "I told you to always keep your uniform tucked and buttoned. And absolutely no long nails, no jewelry, no glasses either. You have to wear contacts here. Anything loose is a hazard, and hazards get you written up and fired." She shook her head at me and dragged me back to the wall that had a long list of rules plastered to it and forced me to read each one out loud in front of all the other staff. I'd never felt so embarrassed, and honestly, I just didn't get it. This isn't military school or a hospital. This is just assisted living. You know, helping people get to the toilet and back to bed. That was it. I couldn't even imagine how any of these people posed a threat. Most of them weighed less than me and couldn't walk without crutches, canes, walkers, and wheelchairs. So I stood there believing that my superintendent was just some uptight, grouchy, work is my entire life type of boss, not realizing just how threatening these patients actually were. Until about 3 weeks in, I was assisting one of the senior nurses, Celia, during a routine room check, making sure each person had their needs met for the morning. We walked into a room at the end of the hall and knocked on the door. "Good morning, sir. How was breakfast?" Celia asked him. He frowned, different from his usual sweet smile he gives us. "Breakfast? How could I even think about that when the furniture in this room has been bugging me all morning?" he said in an annoyed tone. The bed and cabinet had been moved around, and I thought that was what was bugging him. But then he pointed to the table that was bolted to the ground and stomped his foot. "It's in the wrong spot. This has to face east, not south. Otherwise the sun won't hit it right." Celia smiled and apologized, reminding him that the furniture isn't meant to be moved near the window for people's safety, but he wasn't having it. The next thing I knew, this 89-year-old man placed both hands on the side of the bolted steel table and ripped it from the floor and moved it like it was made of cardboard, repositioning it the way he had wanted, and I stood frozen the entire time, shocked at what I'd just witnessed. When we walked out of the room, Celia grinned at me. "People with dementia sometimes get super strong out of nowhere. I wouldn't overthink it," she said, but I couldn't breathe. During my break, I headed over to the security office. The guards pulled up the footage without question and laughed when I screamed at the replay. "First time?" one of them asked. "We get these weird moments a lot here. I'm thinking that when you're old, your body forgets you have limits." He pulled up some clips from other incidents. A woman who bent a metal bed rail with her bare hands. A man climbing up the side of the building with just his bare hands and feet. But then they pulled up one more video involving a young nurse. She stood there in a patient's room with a clipboard, her uniform loose, hair past her shoulders, breaking every rule there was. The patient she handled was an elderly woman sitting in a wheelchair with a blank expression, barely responding to any of her questions. When out of nowhere, the woman reached up and grabbed a fistful of the nurse's hair. The nurse screamed and tried to pull away, but the woman wouldn't budge. Even the 2 security guards that rushed in couldn't pry her fingers open. They tried bargaining, begging, even pouring lotion onto her hand, but nothing would work. So after several minutes of yanking and crying, the nurse grabbed one of the scissors on a tray outside and cut her hair loose. She collapsed against the wall, shaking, half her hair now pixie level. "That there is your superintendent way back then," the guard grinned, tapping on the screen. And I finally understood why those rules were added. I went home that day still in complete shock, and the following day I went to work. I made sure my hair was in a bun so tight it practically gave me a facelift.